Hey everyone, I hope you're all well and having a nice day. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. It's not beauty related, it's not gift related. I guess you could say it's kind of a haul of sorts. I thought I'd share my top 10 reads for 2014. Now just a quick disclaimer, not all of these books came out in 2014, but they're all books that I have either read from the library or gone and purchased this year and have subsequently enjoyed. This is in no particular order as well because it was hard enough narrowing it down to 10 books. There was no way I was going to be able to rank them all. So yeah, I will just get started. I will leave links to books down below, and if I've done any reviews I will also link them up down below for you. First book I really enjoyed in 2014 was this, and it is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, I promise you, I did not read this just because the movie was coming out. This has been on my to-read list for like a year, possibly a little bit longer. When I heard the movie was coming out, I decided it was kind of time to sort of, read it, I guess, and I loved this book. I'm not usually a fan of crime/thriller novels, but I really, really enjoyed this. I don't know, there's just something about this book. I feel like the way, it's split into two narratives between Amy's diary and then Nick in the present day. It just works so well, and I really don't want to give too much away here, but like, it's just so good. And like, the character of Amy, yes, she's a psychopath, and Nick's a narcissist, I guess you could say, but I don't know, there's just something about that character, which is Amy's character, I mean, that is just relatable. Like, some of the things she says in her diary entries, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I felt like that before. And I'm sure many of us have been in that position, and the whole spiel about cool girls. At the time I was like, no, nobody thinks there's like a cool girl ideal. But after seeing the movie and like reading that section again, I was just like, yeah, actually that sort of ideal does exist. Everyone gets placed on a pedestal, whether it's by another guy or, I don't know, your parents, and everyone has a version of you that they want to believe is true, but it might not necessarily be the case. And I don't know, I just found that whole idea really interesting, and having to like meet people's expectations, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is great. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend you do, and then go watch the movie. The movie is very, very close to the book, but yeah, I would definitely recommend reading it first. Not all of these books I have to hand because some of them were from the library. And another book I really enjoyed this year was Pretty Honest by Sally Hughes, and it was a beauty, I don't want to say it's a beauty guide, but basically it's like a beauty dictionary or encyclopedia, but a million times better. Beauty books I've read in the past just have really disappointed me, and they've been very kind of, I don't know, just boring, to be honest. But this had like a bit of everything. There was stuff on how to deal with pesky sales assistants on beauty counters, when makeup expires, there was a whole section on bridal makeup, makeup for mature women, skincare. It was really good, and it's just one of the best beauty books I've ever read. And I think what made it so good was the fact that Sally she really went through a wide range of people's skin types, ages, blah, and she also sort of linked things back to her own stories. So the kind of biographical element made it a lot more engaging, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to be buying it soon. I'm just trying to track it down online. But at the start of the year was The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is just one of the best teenage books I have read in a long time. If you're unfamiliar with The Fault in Our Stars, it tells the story of Hazel and Augustus. Hazel, they're both kids who have dealt with cancer, and they meet at a cancer support group and fall in love, and yeah, this is just beautiful. And the character of Augustus, why can all guys not be like that? Seriously, he's so charming, and the fact he loves books and just the way he talks to Hazel, it's just like, oh, I know that's so cheesy, but like, I don't know, there's just something about it. And the story is really sad. I'm just gonna put that out there. Every time I read this and I get up to about the last sort of quarter of the book, I ugly Kim Kardashian cry my way through it. This is brilliant. I can easily reread this again. I think I read it like 4 or 5 times this year. And yeah, I love it. I highly recommend it. Really, if you don't know me, I really enjoy reading biographies, but I'm really kind of picky about the ones I read. I'm not sure why, but I just am. And one I did read this year was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, I believe her name was. I have seen it featured countless times over on people's blogs and magazines. I've seen it written up a lot, so I decided to get it from a library, and it didn't disappoint. It's really, again, it's quite sad, and I think what makes it so sad is the elements of her childhood that are sort of discussed are just so sort of unbelievable. You kind of wish it wasn't true, and I think that's why it makes it so sad to read. But it's one of those books that really kind of opens your eyes to the world we live in, and it just made me feel a lot more sort of grateful for my childhood. It's just a really good book. It's really inspiring, and I highly recommend you have a look at it if you haven't already. Another autobiographical book which I recently finished was Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. When I heard Lena was writing a book, I was really excited because I've followed her work over the years. I haven't actually watched Girls, I know I'm a bad fan, but I read her interviews all the time and any writing she does on sites like Rookie, or I think she's done some stuff for Time magazine and the New York Times and stuff as well. I just sort of followed it, so when I heard she was doing a book, I knew it was not going to disappoint, and this was great. Again, Lena is just such an inspiring woman, and just she has so many good insights on I don't know, life, being a teenager, growing up feeling kind of unsure of yourself and not sure where you fit into the world, and just, you know, the strange kind of thoughts we have growing up. All that is kind of like laid out on the table, and there was so much I could relate to. Just hearing it from someone else who's done so well and has, you know, been through, I don't know, the same sort of stuff as you, or experienced the same kind of feelings, I don't know, it just makes you feel better about yourself. Does that make sense? Girls is now on my to watch list, and I really hope she writes more because this was a really great insight into her. Another book I read, which is actually a children's book. I know I'm probably too old to be reading kids' books, but whatever. I don't really pay attention to that. The Wildwood Trilogy by Colin Meloy, who is an American writer, I believe, and his wife illustrates the books. My favourite of the three was probably the first one, and then the second one. The third one had a bit of a meh ending, which kind of killed it for me. But these are just great. They're about a girl called, about 10 or 11, Prue, that's her name, Prue, and her brother gets kidnapped by some crows. Taken into this area of, I think it's Portland where they live, where no one tends to really go, and she manages to get into this forest, and you know, she starts a hunt to look for her brother. Another boy who she goes to school with goes with her, and they just go on all these adventures, and it's very, the animals and stuff in the forest all talk, and there's a coyote army, and yeah, I just thought it was really cleverly done, and I guess it's kind of Narnia-esque in that sense, but I just thought it was a really great book. It would appeal to adults as well, and it's just really well written, and the illustrations are beautiful, particularly the colour plates, which are usually throughout most chapters, I think. Yeah, it's just a really gorgeous book, and it would make a great present for, I don't know, a child. I really love looking at beautiful interiors, whether that be on people's blogs or videos or magazines, and so Frankie's Spaces really appealed to my inner nosy park. If you're not familiar with Frankie magazine, each month they have a section called My Space or Our Home, and it goes inside the home of a creative person usually, and this book is a collection of, I don't know if all of these were in the magazine, but it just looks inside the homes of Australian creatives, and it interviews them as well, asking them how they came to acquire certain pieces in their home, what they sort of like about their home, and the rest of it. And there's just stunning photography throughout, which is pretty much what you find in Frankie magazine anyway. And I just really enjoyed this book. I actually read it quite slowly because I was enjoying it so much and didn't want it to finish. I really hope Frankie do more of these because they do quite a few sort of spin-offs. They've done cookbooks. I think they've done a craft book which has just come out, but I still feel like the home books are the best ones, so I really hope they do another volume next year or in a couple of years' time because this is great. Another book which I hired from the library this year was It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. It was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine, Hannah. She used to blog, and it tells the story of a young boy with depression who he admits himself to a psychiatric ward at a hospital because he was feeling suicidal. And yeah, he ends up in like this ward of people for I think it's 5 days, and there's one other girl there his age. Everybody else is adults. They have a wide range of mental illnesses, and he just sort of tells his story about meeting all those people and what he kind of gets up to and what he learns about himself in that time away from his regular life. And it sounds really depressing because, you know, it's about people with mental illness, but it's really not. There's just something, it's quite funny, this book. There's just something kind of uplifting about it. And I feel like it's one of those books you just kind of have to read to understand. If you know anyone with mental illness, then I highly recommend you read it because it might give you a bit of an insight into what they're going through or what they're feeling. Some of the sort of stuff about anxiety and just, I guess, what would seem like irrational stress to most people, but is really quite a big deal for people with mental illness, was stuff I could really relate to. If you don't know, I suffer with anxiety. I've written about it on my blog. I'll link it below if anyone's interested. Yeah, it's just a really brilliant book, and I highly recommend you read it. Another sort of, I don't know whether to call this a biography or if it's just a sort of, I don't know, self-help business kind of book, but it is Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. I probably said that really wrong. She is the founder and CEO of Nasty Gal, which I'm sure many of the my fashionista kind of watchers out there will have heard. She basically breaks down how she got to where she is today and sort of dishes out her advice and some sort of lessons to be a girl boss, I guess. And this book is just so inspiring. I'm sure some people probably think it's just, you know, a bunch of fluff, but I don't know, this book was really motivating and it really sort of inspired me to go out there and stick to my dreams and my goals because they can happen. Good things take time. I think it took her 4 or 5 years before she got Nasty Gal to where it is now. And yeah, this is a great one for anyone who's kind of business minded or ambitious and wants to sort of trek their own path and be their own CEO. Last but not least, I do own this book, but it's currently on loan to one of my cousins. It is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It tells the story of a group of teenagers who are quite wealthy, and something happens, but we don't really know what it is, and the main character gets into kind of an accident, and she can't remember what happens. So the book is basically her trying to kind of piece together what happened leading up to her accident, if you will, and it's just so well done. I feel like if I read it again now, I'll be able to see how it was sort of the final sort of plot point came to fruition a bit better, but when I was reading it the first time, I literally had no idea what was going on. I was speculating about what was going to happen, and I got it completely wrong, of course, and it was just so good. I read it quite fast. It's not a long read at all, but it's just amazing. Well, those are my top 10 books for 2014. I'd love to know what books you've enjoyed reading this year, so leave me a comment down below and I will go look at some of your recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and we'll see you again next time, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!